Alright, what's up guys? Basically I'm going to be showing you 3 different arrows in this clip, and I'm going to go really super in depth on how to actually hit these arrows and why I missed certain arrows, and going with the flow of the map, the textures on the floor, everything you can use to basically make yourself better at shooting skill shots and arrows in general. So here's a little clip of the 3 arrows I'm going to shoot. So these are the 3 arrows I'm going to shoot this game, and hopefully you find it pretty interesting. The first one I missed by quite a bit, and the second one I hit pretty well. I got 3 targets, and I went really in depth on this arrow as to why I shot it at a certain angle. And the last one was a standard from base, straight as you can get, hits the Ezreal, gets a kill, looks really cool. This is the kind of arrow that is looking really cool, but it looks really simple, and it is really simple to shoot. So if you want to learn to shoot arrows like this, keep watching this video as I explain every arrow really in depth.
So here I'm going to shoot an arrow at Caitlyn, and it's going to miss by a mile because I don't really understand. In this game, there's one way to shoot arrows basically, and it was common knowledge in Hon and Dota 2 about how to shoot an arrow, and people did it the same way basically every time. As there was a hero in Hon and Dota 2 called Princess of the Moon, which Ashe's Arrow was basically taken from, I guess, and it's basically exactly the same concept as shooting an arrow in that game. A lot of good Ashe players have carried that knowledge over because a lot of good LoL players are former Dota players or Hon players. So I thought this would be interesting to show you, just because it doesn't seem like it's very common knowledge. I see people like Double Lift quite often trolling or Afromu about how to shoot arrows, but nobody actually ever seems to break it down properly and actually explain how to shoot an arrow. So here I'm going to show you how I missed the arrow and why I missed the arrow. So here I missed the arrow, whatever. It was a bad arrow to miss, I'll 100% admit that, but there was a reason I missed it. Okay, so this is a drawing I did, where basically, this is my map split into sections, basically. And depending on where somebody stands in these sections, depends on where you need to be stood to shoot the proper arrow to have the most surface area. So, imagining here, if Caitlyn is stood here, if I shoot an arrow from here, there's no theoretical way that it can miss, because it's going straight inwards. That's really important. This is what I really want to somehow get across in this clip. I find it's quite hard to talk about, so bear with me here. But basically, if you shoot an arrow straight forward, the way the map works, you tend to go in straight directions more often. So basically, imagine if Caitlyn used the E, she would go straight back this way. And it would actually achieve nothing, because the arrow would still hit. Because the map flows in the direction, sort of, that way. That's the way the map flows. So if you shoot an arrow logically in that direction, your chances of hitting it is way bigger. Same for this direction. If I wanted to shoot an arrow on Caitlyn here, I'd be stood about here. Then I'd be shooting my arrow again, following sort of the gradient of the map. It's really important to do this. I cannot stress how important it is to follow the flow of the map, because shooting arrows, like, I'm going to clear this now because I think you understand what I'm trying to get at, hopefully, a bit here. Shooting arrows, for example, if I shot an arrow from here, and I'm shooting it at Caitlyn, it doesn't flow the direction of the map, because the way the map flows is not that way, it's this way. So, if I shot this arrow at Caitlyn here, it'd be really simple, presuming he had some sort of reactions, to simply E as the arrow comes, and the arrow would fly past here, and it wouldn't hit because it doesn't follow the flow of the map. So I really hope you take notice of this, and I'm going to show you some examples now of actual good arrows and why they hit, and I'll draw a bit on the map so you can explain, so I can explain even why they hit. And this works for every skill shot in the game basically. Blitzcrank hooks, Sona ultimates, Morgana bindings, whatever you name it, this works for every single skill shot in the game, and it's basically how you should be hitting skill shots. So okay, so in this example I wanted to show how to hit an arrow in this kind of circumstance. It's obviously a bit of a different circumstance as we're pushed further down the lane, but I'm going to pause the game super quick and draw a few things. So here, it's pretty simple really. You break the map into half because that's where the map flows, and if you're going to shoot an arrow in this one, you want to be stood here, and if you're going to shoot an arrow in the other half of the map, you want to be stood here. It's a really simple concept to grasp actually, but people don't seem to be able to grasp it very well, or just don't understand the concept in general and how it works. So basically, if you're shooting an arrow in a straight line, like if I shot an arrow here, it's big enough that it's going to hit either Olaf or Katrina. Now, Olaf doesn't have flash. Yes, he has his armor, so he's going to get out of it. But you know, that's not really the point. It's just maximizing sort of your chance to hit an arrow, I guess. Like now, if I wanted to arrow Ezreal, for example, the hitbox when it's going in a diagonal angle. So if I shot here, the hitbox is a lot smaller when it's going diagonal. I don't know if you've realized this yet or not, but Ashe's Arrow has the biggest hitbox, I think, when it's going in a straight line and it collides sort of full on with the target. So if I shot an arrow here at Ezreal, which people would be very inclined to do because you see Ezreal. So I'm gonna remove all this stuff, put this back. So here, if I shot an arrow at Ezreal, people would be very, 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 very inclined to do this because I have my arrow up. It's a free sort of AD carry kill because if you look at where he stood, he's in range of a Nunu snowball which is going towards him. A Cho'Gath rupture can hit him and a Nivea can just kill him. And he's in like the perfect position to arrow. Now the problem really with doing this is the fact that when you're shooting an arrow diagonally, it's very easy to sidestep and dodge it, or simply just to E away or flash away to dodge it, because you don't have any surface area to go off. You're literally relying on, it's basically like a Morgana skill shot, like binding. You don't have any surface area other than like the direct tip of that arrow to hit. So if in theory I shot this arrow, the chances are he'd keep walking forward and I'd probably miss it. I could shoot it at a different angle, such as this one, but then if he's a smart player and realizes all he has to really do is sidestep backwards here to avoid rupture, which is probably coming, then he's going to avoid the arrow too by accident because it doesn't have enough surface area to sort of hit him 100% of the time. So what I'm really going to do is fire it in the direction that my character's facing. Now, this isn't that complex of an idea, but it's basically that if you look where I'm facing, my character's going sort of this way. Now, everybody else on the map is sort of also, you know, heading towards this kind of angle. They're all going towards the same sort of point, looking at how they're facing. Probably with the exception being Katrina, but she's in the middle of it anyway, so it's fine. So the arrow hitbox, as I said before, is actually quite big in my opinion. So if I was to shoot an arrow into this sort of gradiented area, it would probably hit maybe this part, I guess. And honestly, presuming Ezreal works forward, that's a pretty good hitbox. You know, I can't really complain about that. The chances of 4 people flashing away from an arrow at this point in the game is very, very small in any stage of the game, just because people have bad reactions or don't have flash up or can't have flash. So, I mean, that's something to really think about, is how to maximize your priority with an arrow. It's not really hitting one person, it's about making sure it hits, because really, the initiation we have here, it relies on me hitting an arrow to get a kill and then snowball off it. So I'm going to repause the replay here and show you actually what happens and how I shoot my arrow. I'm going to slow it down because I want you to see actually what happens. So here I'm moving my position. Look, I'm walking straight to move my position to get the perfect angle. Now here, this is a really, really obvious arrow to anybody. You're going straight, they're all going straight. You want to shoot with a gradient on the map, so you don't actually want to shoot it at such a harsh angle as that. Now that doesn't look very harsh, but in my mind that is a very harsh angle to shoot at, because if you look how the grass is going here, this is a good way to tell. The grass here, this is where the grass ends, the terrain changes here. This is all the terrain changes. That's the way the map flows, and that's where you get the biggest hitboxes if you actually hit. So you want to be shooting with like the way the terrain goes, I guess. That's a really weird way to describe it, but that's the way how you want to shoot an arrow. So my arrow really should come at this kind of angle, just pretty straight. And let's see if it does. So here, it's a pretty harsh angle actually. But I mean, it hits 3 people, which is fine by me, that's good. And then we get the initiation off. And I'll fast forward even, sorry, I can't really speak today. The replay, things go down. And it probably wasn't a good team fight for us, but that doesn't really matter, because ultimately it's to show you how to hit arrows. So I'm going to show you one more example, maybe 2 more examples of how to hit an arrow, and hopefully quite helpful. So again, this is another clip where I basically hit the easiest arrow. I really want to make clear the fact that these arrows aren't me being good at League of Legends and me being a good Ashe Arrow player. Like, it's simply just using basic logic, I guess I want to call it, to make things a lot easier for you in the game. So here, I'm going to hit this arrow on Ezreal, and Anivia's going to kill him. And basically, like I said before, you want to position yourself within sort of 3 quadrants of the map. So here, if I was going to shoot an arrow, I'd have to be stood here, and here, to here, and then sort of this one's a bit awkward to hit because it's a strange angle. Usually it's from like here, and then you go down the lane and hit this one on the side. So hopefully that's easy to understand, and I'm going to clear this map and show you basically where I stand to hit an effective arrow here. And this is on an AD carry, so I mean, you know, you really want to be hitting the arrows that you can hit. So we're going to play this, close this, play this. So here, again, you see how I position myself. This is really, really important to notice. I just moved over to this corner here on purpose so that I could shoot an arrow. Because, I'm going to rewind that actually, because I really, 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 really want to stress this point of like moving to hit arrows rather than just trying to fire them from certain points of the map and hoping you get lucky. So watch my movement here. I come here into lane, and I see the opportunity here. Right, let's pause. I see the opportunity for the Ezreal. Ezreal's here in this quadrant on the map. So I moved over to here to shoot an arrow onto Ezreal. Then, he moves. So I move directly to the portion here, again, coming in line with this quadrant. Now, I really, 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 really want you to take notice of this, because I think it's really important. Like, I cannot stress how important this is. That shooting arrows in a straight line guarantees kills, and guarantees that they hit. So here, I move into the quadrant to shoot the arrow. Again, I come into the second quadrant, where Ezreal is. It's basically a straight line. Arrow comes down. As you can see, it's a pretty dodgy arrow, this one, but it's a straight line arrow. So it hits Ezreal, and then he dies. Now, I really, really, really want you to take notice of what happened there. It wasn't just, oh, I see Ezreal, let's shoot an arrow. It wasn't anything like that at all. It was simply lining an arrow up so that it was the right angle to hit, and not rushing into it. Now, I'm sure you've heard from other players, don't hesitate to shoot Ashe Arrows. Now, I agree with this statement quite a bit, but there's a difference between hesitation and planning. And the movement I did up here was pretty much pure planning, and you have to plan some things in this game. You have to think ahead, and that was thinking ahead. If you want to hit an arrow, you have to think ahead, especially if it's a long range arrow like that. So I hope that's a good example, and I'll show you one more example. So this is the last clip I actually wanted to show you. Again, I'm not going to draw on a map now because you've seen what I tried to explain, and I've explained it hopefully in a decent enough way that you understand. So here, there's obviously a team fight going on in mid, and I've just recalled because I was 1 HP. Usually, the way things go, like I said before, they follow the flow of the map. So you can kind of presume the fact that this fight will probably continue sort of along past where the tower was, and then up into the lane. So my arrow is being clicked, basically right where Anivia is, because that's like the straightest line you can manage from where I'm stood. So we're going to watch the arrow and see what happens, and I'll explain sort of why it happens, I guess. This might be really quick to follow. Yeah, this is quick. Let's slow it down a little bit. Okay, so you can see how straight this arrow is going. Like, look on the map, and if you watch it on the map, it is the straightest line possible that you can shoot an arrow in. So here, I shot the arrow. It's still going super straight. The Anivia stun hits, my arrow hits, and then the Ezreal gets one shot by Anivia. That's really beside the point. It doesn't really matter the fact that they got one shot. It's the fact that it's a straight line, and I really hope I've emphasized enough how straight lines have to be. Because thinking logically, I'm going to draw something really quick and just help you explain why you shoot arrows in a straight line, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to show you this last because this is what I want you to go away thinking about, rather than thinking about how to hit arrows. This applies to any skill shot in the game, pretty much. So here, the reason you shoot an arrow straight is because, imagining the arrow, let's play this really quick actually, so I can just get up to speed with the arrow. Okay, my arrows just hit him, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so here, if I'm shooting an arrow like this, what can happen? Okay, the only thing that can happen is, logically thinking, his mouse cursor is going to be straight, because you always have your mouse cursor sort of either here or here. It basically, your mouse usually follows the flow of the map because it's the most logical way for your brain to see going across the screen. So when you have to reaction flash into or away from an arrow, it tends to be sort of here, 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 or here. Just sort of within range of your mouse, you know? So I think that's really important to explain. And that's why you do it, because I mean, if you can't realistically react flash to an arrow unless you see it coming from further away, then it's about to hit you. And unless your mouse, for some god knows what reason, is over here or over here, I don't know why you'd have your mouse there when you're attacking Anivia. There is literally no reason for you to have your mouse there. So you shoot an arrow in a straight line because the only way, logically, a logical player could go is forwards or backwards, unless they have sick reactions and can flick shot the mouse over here and flash in the time it takes for an arrow to hit you, which is not a long time. So that's a lot of drawing on the screen, but hopefully this video has taught you something about Ashe Arrows and skill shots in general. I'm going to make another video probably tomorrow, talking a bit about how juking is sometimes counter-effective on your play, and there's many times where you try and juke a skill shot. For example, listen, I had a video about this actually, where people try and juke too many Qs, and by juking too much, they actually get themselves killed. Because when you juke, you actually are not moving forwards in a straight line, which means you're moving at a slower speed than most people. So every side step you take, he catches up to you, little by little by little. And if he's not wasting animation time on casting a Q, he's catching you up. And eventually he right clicks you or E's you, and then he phages or red hits you, and you get slowed, and he doesn't even have to hit a Q to kill you. Though that pretty much applies to every skill shot in the game. So I'm going to make a video talking about that and the mentality behind that. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully you enjoyed it and learned something.